Hello and welcome to School News.
So analytics is here, everybody.
Let's go.
So now you can see the health of your community over time. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. So if you click settings and you're the admin of a group, you will see this new dashboard here.
Wow.
Right? And what we're going to do today is walk you through, what these analytics are, what they mean. We're also going to show you some examples of some real data from some real groups to show you, what it looks like if a group's growing, kind of flat and shrinking, and what good looks like. And we're also going to tell you some insights that we've had by looking at all kinds of different data using this analytics tool. So it should be a useful episode.
Yep, this is a big update.
Yeah, so this is the new dashboard, and the first view you've got is your members. Here you can see the total members you've got and a chart which is monthly. So you can see in October you had 52 new, 197 existing, 38 churned. Churned just means people who left the group. So even a free group will see this if people leave. And so this is just purely members over time in your group. Then I'll show you this one later. It's a little bit more sophisticated. But then you've got your MRR, which you're already used to seeing a number. What's my MRR right now? That's what this number tells you. But then you can see it over time. So I can see in October, I got $50 new, upgrades 23, existing 194, downgrade 0, churn $30.
Nice. So
this also works for the new tiers features. If you have upgrades, they'll show. If you've got downgrades, they'll show. So it factors in everything. And you can see your MRR over time if you just hover over it. And we've got all the data going back like 12 months.
Let's go.
Then you can also see your cash flow, which is a really useful feature, because if you hover over a month, you can see if you've got one-time payments, it'll break it out, because one-time payments aren't a part of MRR. You can also see your annual subs, because an annual sub is divided by 12 and added to MRR, but you collected all of that cash today, right? So it shows up in your cash flow here. So I can see my annual subs for the month of October were more than the total of my monthly.
Yep. And before we would only show MRR, so you wouldn't see the annual or one-time payments that you got for cash flow. And
then you can see your your affiliates. So how much money went out to affiliates, $26, fees, refunds, disputes. You can see all of it here, total cash flow. This is a super useful view.
Yep.
Especially for people that have a lot of annuals or a lot of one-time or a lot of affiliates. This is a critical view, really. I'll show you unit economics later because it's a little bit more sophisticated. Your conversion rate. Ooh. So when we show you this number up here, which is what you're used to, that's looking at the last 30 days now, right? So over the last 30 days, my conversion rate for my About page is 7%. But then I can see it day by day for the last 30 days.
Whereas before you could just see it once off.
Yeah. And what I've kind of learned by looking at a lot of these is if you have a small amount of traffic and signups, which I think a lot of people do, conversion rate is very volatile day to day, right? So if you have, not that much traffic, not that many signups, and you're trying to make like optimization decisions like About page and stuff, and you're looking at like daily or even weekly data, it's not very wise.
Yeah, yours fluctuates from 0% to 14% or 16%, or even 45% on that day.
So really, you should, if you've got a small amount of data, you need to wait a decent amount of time to see if that change is meaningful. But then we've also got here, so by default we show you last 30 days, but if you click this, we'll actually show you over the last 1 year.
Insane.
And if you hover here, you can see how many visitors came to your About page, which is traffic, and the conversion rate each month, right? So you can look back in time too. And maybe you look back and you're like, hey, what was I doing that month? I had a lot of traffic. Or what was I doing that month? I had a lot of conversions. Yeah, so you can look back in history, which I think is very useful.
Very useful.
You could only see back
30 days, right?
7 or 30 days before. So yeah, this is pretty huge.
And then that dotted line in November means that we're halfway through the month, so it's not finished.
Yeah. Any dotted line is a partial month. And also partial months tend to be a bit lower because they haven't had as much time for things to aggregate. So if your partial month for conversion is down a little bit, I wouldn't even worry that much about it.
Got it.
Because it will move up. Then you've got your free trials too. So here I can see this chart looks a little strange because in these months I wasn't doing free trials, right? But you can see here I had 19 free trials in March with a 31.6 conversion. So, you know, I could save based on this. Maybe my conversion rate's around 30, yeah, I'd just say 33-ish%. So that's pretty cool. And then we've got retention. So we used to show you churn. It said churn on your dashboard. With the introduction of tiers, it doesn't make a lot of sense to look at churn anymore. Retention makes more sense purely because it can be positive. Like here, my retention is like 102% basically. That can't happen when you just look at the number churn. And I'll show you how this happens. So this month, last month in October, I had $23 of upgrades, $11 in reactivations. And a reactivation, by the way, is somebody who was a paying member, churned and left, and then came back and joined again, right? So reactivations, downgrades, and then churn. So you can see if you sum my upgrades and reactivations, that'll come to what, $34? And my churn was 30. So I've got more, I'm retaining more than 100% of my revenue.
Yes.
Right? So this factors in all of that.
Yeah, churn is just when someone goes from paying to not paying at all, $0. Whereas now that there's downgrades, you can't just show churn because if someone downgrades, you still want to see that, but it's not churn.
Yes. And if someone downgrades from a paying price to 0, that's actually measured as churn because going from a paid amount to 0 is considered churn, but going from a higher paid amount to a lower paid amount is considered a downgrade.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll notice that for some of the metrics, we have the current month, like members, and it's dotted. But for others, like MRR, we don't. Like we've only got October. This number up here is showing you what your MRR currently is. All of these numbers are basically what they currently are. But MRR, if we are to show the current month, we actually have to do some projections. So we can't just show you what it currently is. We'll add that in later. But yeah, if you're wondering why do we sometimes see the current month and sometimes not, but these up here are what you're used to seeing from your dashboard before.
Yep.
And so I think that covers the basics. You better upgrade, Arden. Help me out with my expansion revenue. So now let's show you some examples. We want to show you what a group looks like when it's growing, when it's flat, and when it's shrinking, and when a group's free. And yeah, so let's jump into it. So here's some real data, anonymized. So here you can see members over time, right? It's going up. And you tend to see there's more green than there is red. So that means more people are joining than leaving, right? So it's going up. Then if we look at the MRR, the same is basically true. So MRR is going up. These are some very nice MRR numbers. And look at the green versus the red, right? So it's going up. Very good retention, like 90%. And so that's basically what a group looks like when it's going up. Simply put, it's just there's more people joining than leaving, more dollars being added than leaving, basically. So now let's look at a group that is like flat. So here a group was growing, but now it's kind of around the same, right? In MRR. This is quite common. Like for a lot of people, they're growing and then they kind of are stuck around the same. You can see when it was growing, it's always adding more than it's churning, right? So green is more than red. But then you can see that the two start to basically match, right? And so that means, when a group's in this kind of situation, you need to reduce churn or increase traffic or increase conversion rate.
Or you just accept you're making 290 grand a month and say that's enough.
That too. Yeah. But it's nice to just simply see it like this.
Yep.
And if I go to, that's basically it. Now, if we look at a group that's going like down, so here we can see a group that is going down, not like rapidly, but it's slowly going down. And you can see that, it tends to have more people, more dollars and more people churning than it has joining each month.
Mm-hmm.
And that explains basically why it's going down. So yeah, there's that. And then I think it's important that we show what a free group looks like, because a lot of groups are free.
Yep.
So if your group's free, you don't have MRR because you're not making any money. And you don't have retention, because retention here purely looks at dollar retention, not user retention, right? But we do have something called, well, here you can see your members over time, but then we've got something called like engagement cohorts.
Ooh.
So these cohorts are too small. So I should probably, that's a good point actually. So this is what cohorts look like for engagement. I'll tell you what that means. But basically, in March, 14 people joined. In April, 43 people joined. And then you can see month one, how many of them were active. That means they came back after 30 days. So, because in the first 30 days, 100% of people are obviously active because they had to be to join, right?
Yes.
So this is really looking at after the first 30 days, like day 31 to day 60, basically. How many of them came back and actively used your group?
They had a page view in your group.
Yeah. Then month two, how many? Month three, how many? Month four, how many? And it tracks them over time, right? So this will work for both free and paid groups. And it purely looks at like engagement. How many members come back and engage over time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, you won't have the financial information, but you still have your conversion rate and all of that. Now, yeah, let's explain cohorts a little bit. So, because this is something really this is like a super interesting thing. So basically, I'll pull up a group. So here, if I go to revenue retention, I can see it's 90%, right? But this is the aggregate. But then we can see it cohorted here. So how much revenue was retained over time? The other one looks at how many users were engaged over time.
Yep.
So different things.
And what cohorted means is you just split up. So you only look at the data for the people that joined in October, what percentage of them retained month over month, then November, December, January.
Yeah, so you can see the size of the cohort here measured in dollars. And then how many of those dollars were like retained over time?
Yeah. So that means the people that joined in October, 81% of them came back in month one. 78% of them came back in month two.
This is dollars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
81% of the dollars that were generated in October will continue paying in the next month.
So this is pretty cool to see that like more than 50% at basically 1 year, you've still got it. So, this is why aggregate retention can be misleading. Because if you think like, oh, my retention's 10, my retention's 90, therefore my churn is 10. So after 12 months, 120% of my revenue's gone? So I'd be at zero. Yep. But that's not the case. Here you can see that like 50% of the revenue is actually there at month 11, month 12.
Mm-hmm.
So why is that these two numbers don't line up? Well, it's because the churn is steeper in the first few months. So you can see here that maybe like 25% of revenue is churned in month one.
Yep.
So, your month one churn is 25, but your aggregate's 90. Mm-hmm. It's because it's all blended. But you can see here in between like month 10 and month 11, almost nothing churns.
Yes.
So that's why the aggregate view can be misleading. And why it's so, with subscription revenue businesses, recurring revenue, long timeframes are critical, because if you don't stick around for if you don't run the thing for a year, you don't get that kind of retention.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because the people that stick really stick, and most people who churn rapidly in the first 30 to 90 days, right?
Yep.
And this is basically what we see across the board, is that churn is always highest in month 1. So the most people who generally churn in the first month, then the second, and then the third. But then after 3, which is 90 days roughly, it flattens. So you can see that here, 25% lost there in the first month, 15% lost in the second.
Yep. 6%.
Then it's only 6% here, but then look how flat it is.
Yeah, it's like 3%.
It goes from 47 to 48. So it's basically,
it's basically flat after month 3. So if you can keep someone to month 3, they pretty much stay for a long time.
And that's what we've seen pretty much across the board. That's a common thing. So it's the first 30 days are critical, and really it's the first 90 that are key. And that when people stick, they really stick, if you've got a good group. So yeah, that's how you can kind of understand cohorts. So I explained aggregate versus cohorted. I kind of explained flattening. That's, if you were to imagine like a curve, like it's going down, but then does it flatten? So that's an important thing to gather. If your cohorts aren't flattening, then you've got an issue. And so maybe we should look at the group that's shrinking and look at their cohorts. So this is a good comparison, right? So by month 12-ish, they've got like 7%. Whereas this example has 55.
Wow.
But in month 1, this one loses 25-ish%, but this one loses similar, right? So you see the difference? Yeah. So this one isn't really flattening. It kind of is, but not really. Whereas this one really is. Yeah. And that's also why this one's green, by the way, and this one looks more red. So we did something pretty cool with this coloring, actually. So we looked at all the groups on Skool, all of them. And we found the average revenue retention in each month, like month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4. And then what we do is we color these cohorts based on how you compare to the platform average. So it's like a light shade of green if you're about average. It goes more red the more below average you are, and more green the more above average you are.
That's pretty
cool.
So
this looks like below average, but this cohort here looks average, right?
Yep.
This is above average for the first time here. And then if I look at this group that does extremely well, it's very above average. It's great.
Yep.
But what's interesting is it's average at the start, sometimes even a little below average, and then it really shines in its longer term retention.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, the groups that tend to keep compounding and keep growing have long-term retention dialed, even though they might share the same kind of short-term retention as other groups, right?
Yep.
So that long-term retention is key. And you might think, oh, this group is only achieving this because it does annual payments. Annual can certainly help with long-term retention, but what's interesting about this group is it actually does none.
Yeah.
It's 100% monthly. Yep. Yeah. There is no annuals in here at all, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. And another way you can interpret this is you see in November how green it is, and then in December it gets more yellow. That may mean that whatever they did in December attracted lower quality people to the group, or they did something in the group that made people less happy, so they were more likely to churn.
Yeah, and so that's the last one I had, vintages. So an easy way to think about this is like wine. So they talk about a vintage, like the Central Otago Pinot Noir in 2008, for example. That was like the best vintage.
Yep.
And it might have been something to do with the weather and all of that. And that might become the most famous wine and the most expensive one. So it matures in a really good way. So the same thing, you can look at these vintages or cohorts. Maybe you ran a promotion in a particular month that went really well or really bad. Or maybe it's a traffic source. Maybe you did a JV or something. Or maybe you did free trials, or you could do all kinds of different things. And this can show you how that matures over time.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, the main things to take from cohorts is aggregate versus cohorted, flattening, and vintages, I think. And how you compare to the platform average.
There's one other thing, which is that if the volume, which is value there, increases, then generally retention decreases. So sometimes if 1 month's really bad, but you look at it and you got 10x the volume, it may not be a bad thing overall. You got way more volume, people are less likely to stick.
Yeah, the other thing to be mindful of is like very tiny cohorts.
Yeah.
If you're like, if the cohort's very small, like 5, and your others are 100 plus, that it might not be a bad cohort. It's just the numbers are too small.
It goes from like 5%, 100%, 3%. It's all over the place.
Yeah. And generally with all of these stats, if you have small numbers, the things are going to swing all over the place. Like this conversion rate can go from 0% to 233%. This is because it's a free group and it counts it as a conversion when you approve them. So like, that's why you really want to look at your conversion rate over time. Like that's very important.
That's more accurate.
Because see, once we look at 30 days, I would say this conversion rate, just eyeballing it's like 32%. So yeah. Be careful if you're looking at days and you've got small amounts of traffic. Because I have seen some people say, oh, I changed this on my about page and then my conversion rate went down and then I panicked and changed it back. And it had been hours or something. Yeah. You need like a month for most people. But these numbers will look more like sane when you have more traffic. Yeah. So then let's look at this one here. And if we look at the engagement cohorts. So, what's interesting is this group not only has really strong revenue retention, both aggregate and cohorted, but even its user engagement cohorts are solid too. Yeah.
Again, the only month that looks slightly worse is December, which is similar to the revenue. So maybe people churned because they're not engaging.
Yeah. So one way to think about this too, to make it simple, is like, imagine how many like apps you download, like a free app from the App Store or something, or a website you visit, or even a YouTube channel that you subscribe to. How often are you still actively watching the videos or using the apps or using the website 1 year after you did that?
Yeah, very
Probably
small.
not. It's, And so here you can see that like 40-ish% of people are still actively using the thing.
That's insane.
1 year after they joined, which is very, very good.
Very rare for the internet in general, it feels like. How many times you watch a YouTube video and you never watch that creator ever again? It's very common.
And also these stats just get so much better with time because, you need, if you've only been doing this for a month, you won't even have a cohort. So time is important, and it gets super interesting looking at these stats once a group has been running for a year or something. So I think we explained all of that. Insights. So we kind of covered this. Most people churn month 1. That's the steepest churn most of the time. Then followed by month 2 and then month 3, but then things flatten. This is what we see across the board. Yours might be slightly different, but you should look to see when your cohorts kind of flatten. About page conversion rates swing a lot day to day, especially with little traffic. This also allows you to measure the true impact of things like free trials and price changes. I was looking at Evelyn's stats with her, and for the first time we were really able to like see what different things did. Like we were able to look at conversion rate over time. And then I was like, oh, what were you doing this month? Because conversion rate was right up and you had a lot of traffic. And she said like, oh, I had a free trial on. So then what I did is I went to the free trial conversion data, and then I looked in that month, what was the free trial conversion rate? And then I compared it to the about page conversion rate in that month. And I was able to calculate the total effective like conversion rate essentially. Because if let's say you turn on free trials and your about page conversion rate goes from 1 to 2, but your free trial conversion rate's 50%, you're still doing the same.
Yes.
Unless you look at the retention cohorts, because then you might see that free trial month was better for retention.
Because they tried it out, the ones that liked it stuck.
Well, because a trial cancel isn't a churn. It's a trial conversion rate impact. So it doesn't show up as churn. It shows up as a trial cancel. For someone to show up in churn, they have to have paid their first invoice and then canceled or paid their second invoice, right? So it makes sense that if someone signs up for something and you don't have a trial, essentially the first month is their trial. So you're going to have higher churn. Whereas if you have a free trial, someone will, if they don't like it, they'll cancel in the trial. So if they stick, they like it. So therefore their retention is better. And so we were able to calculate for Evelyn that the free trial really worked for her, because it's a blend of all these things. You've got your about page conversion rate, your free trial conversion rate, and your revenue retention.
Yep.
But I think in Evelyn's case, even not looking at the cohorts, she was still up. Like she got more total conversion having the trial than not. And then when we looked at the cohorts, it was, oh, absolutely, you should do this. Yeah. So now for the first time, you can actually like really drill into this.
Very cool.
Yeah. And also price changes, trials, all of it. You can look back over time. This last 1 year thing's quite interesting. Then, yeah, this is Analytics V1. So we wanted to give you guys basic analytics first. Done. So this allows you to do all the basic things you should do. Like members, MRR, conversion, retention, engagement, cohort of view aggregate, plus cash flow. Oh, I haven't shown unit economics.
Yep.
Okay, that's a big one. So unit economics here. So this is a little bit more complicated, but whatever. So there's two things, ARPU and LTV. So average revenue per user is ARPU, average revenue per user, ARPU. LTV is lifetime value. People tend to obsess a lot about LTV in this business. I do think really ARPU is more important.
Yeah, LTV means the total amount that someone's going to pay you across the time that they're a customer.
Yeah. And ARPU will generally be your price. The only time it might differ is if you've had all kinds of different prices or if you have tiers. And also kind of if you have annual, because there might be a lower price to pay annually. So that's your average revenue per user. And for Skool, we've got $9 and we've got $99. And then there's a blend of these, and our average revenue per user is somewhere in between those.
It's like average revenue per user per month.
Yes, it's monthly. Yeah. This can be really useful for things like ads, and yeah, like if you're trying to run paid advertising at scale, this can be super useful. Also for just more mature business people or nerds or whatever. Or just people that want to flex.
It's useful because say you're spending $100 to get a customer and your average revenue per user is $50, then you know that it'll take you 2 months to make your money back.
Yeah. Unless 100% of them churn in month one. Yeah. Which you can find out with your retention cohorts now. Yeah. So I think we covered everything. Yeah. So this is Analytics V1. The next version of this, V1.5, we're going to show you some more stuff on engagement. Specifically, we're going to show you here, like, there's going to be another tab here called engagement, and it's going to show you your active users over time. So how many people are coming back and using your thing over time, as well as the total number of posts, comments, likes, and things you get each month. So you can see active members trending over time versus total, and then activities those active people are taking over time.
It's like the metrics tab that we have at the moment, just on steroids.
Yeah. Very useful for free groups and looking at engagement. We'll also, maybe we'll see how we go. We might show you some projections for like the months, for things like MRR and retention. We could show a current month in dots, kind of like what we do here, and it would be projected. So there'll be 1.5. And then V2 is the beast, which is the traffic sources and
That's gonna
attribution.
Be insane.
This is the sexiest one for sure. Like seeing where your members come from. Like 50% of your customers come from Skool Network, 20% come from Instagram, 10% come from ads.